I think for me, the big shift, not really introduced. So when I came in, I found that we were doing digital marketing, but it was the way in which we were doing the digital marketing, I would say, was very traditional, if I can use that sense. I think a lot of the work that I've been able to do over the past 3 years in terms of the budgets that we're actually assigning to digital marketing, we've now actually have a big change in that. Markets like Pakistan, where I think we were below 10%, we are now chasing maybe about 30% of our budgets being used in the digital space. It was opening out where we now are very active on a lot of our social channels. We didn't have Facebook pages or Twitter pages or LinkedIn pages that we now have in quite a number of our markets. And I felt that that was a very strong way to target these constituents that we're talking about. Because as we've said, all our affluent or emerging affluent constituents are online and they're engaging online. Everybody is now, using quite a number of digital tools and apps to do that. But I think our most successful change for me was the way we launched SE Mobile, which is an app that we use as well for mobile banking last year in Africa. And I think across 6 markets, including Pakistan, we won the Global Finance, digital banking awards. So I think it paid, a bit of credence to the work that I've been doing together with my team.
Great. Yes. Yeah. What measures is the Kenya Land and Conservancy Trust taking to protect wildlife?
Oh, so this you picked from my profile.
Yes, profile.
So I was saying, so this is one of those you're not going to be able to quote. So I haven't sat in the board. I've missed a couple of board meetings. They're probably going to kick me out soon. I was there last year because I took up my role in September last year before I then permanently moved to Dubai in December. But the effort of the work that we had done there, which I'm sure is probably going to be aligned, I'm going to preempt your next question around me and my farming as a hobby with my ducks. So where I have a farm in an area called Rongai, which is near a town called Nakuru in Kenya, over the years, there's been quite a bit of deforestation, which was then affecting. So we are on, somebody's going to remind me about my geography now, the leeward or the windward side, which is the side that doesn't get rain when the clouds come. This is primary geography, see? None of them remember. But we're then finding, so this is the mountain. You will have to do research before you quote this article somewhere. So windward gets a lot of the rain and the leeward side typically doesn't. But the windward side also used to get a lot of rain because that's where you typically found on a mountain a lot of the forest. But if you then cut these forests, right, there was no way for the cloud harvesting to happen on this side. So no rain happened at all. We happened to be further down a little bit from the windward side and we're slowly just seeing a lot of the milling that was happening in the area that didn't happen. And then I'm one of those who's very passionate, and I looked and I was telling my husband, no, there must be something that we can do about this. And on a flight coming back, I met our director, at the time, who actually looks after the Serena, so part of the Aga Khan, who said, Olga, why don't you come and join us and let's see what we can do together with government to manage this. So we were partnering actually more as a thought leader in that space to demonstrate to people what more they can do to conserve, as you're saying, quite a bit of large tracts of land. And even if they were building, an estate, how much of that space were you keeping to be green space? So as well as you're saying, for air quality, for elements like that, for making sure that, the rain, the cloud harvesting would continue so that the rain would come. So it was quite a bit of advocacy that we were doing with government as well. Organizations such as your Africa Wildlife, Federation as well, because we've had quite a bit of poaching, unfortunately, happening in Kenya, where our elephant population, they say if we continue the way it is now, we may not have an elephant left by 2030, which is, by the way, only 13 years, down. So we're just partnering with quite a number of organizations in that sense to make sure that conservation was happening, we were protecting, the wildlife and making sure that we would have, a proper future, not just for ourselves, but the generations to come. So the cars, as I said previously, with my whole engineering and elements, but I think I'm going to blame my parents and my brothers for the element of the remodeling cars. So I am a second last born who's born between boys. And I think by the time I was coming along, my mom was already tired. So if you look at my childhood photos, you actually can't identify the girl between the boys. Because if it was shorts, she put all of us in shorts. If it was the In fact, the same color. If it was the whatever. She got tired of taking care of my hair. That's what everybody says now. I'm growing it long. So I had very short hair. I literally looked like a boy. The only way they tell is because I'm the one wearing the specs. They're like, okay, this must be Olga. So I got involved in a lot of those things that boys would typically do. Making your little toy cars and, testing them around, jumping with my brothers when, they were starting to learn how to drive, and I was. And because my dad always had a love for your old sort of vintage cars. Even till now, my dad is one of those, even when he can afford to buy a new car, has never bought one. He'll go look for some Ford Cosworth 1968 model, take it to a mechanic to do it. Because he always says, these were cars, these were props. He says, all these new things you guys are driving, Ferrari, Maserati, Mercedes, no. We want a solid car. So he says, in case somebody has an accident with you, you're going to come out alive because this car... So in fact, in Kenya, we've got a comment where people make fun when they see you in a car like that. They say, chuma ya reli. And chuma is the steel from the rail. So if you've seen the railroad, those railroads that were put during the colonial times, I think they're the same ones still there. They've never worn off. Yeah. They never get changed. Nothing happens. So people say that those cars are similar to the railing. And then I just got a love for that. And I would see him and he would spend time. He'd get the mechanic, would be tinkering. And then we would take it and we would paint it ourselves. We would get the spray paint and we would change the colors of the cars and all that. So I've always loved that. The ducks was an interesting one. So I went and I found actually a friend who was farming these for purposes of what? In her compound in Nairobi. But I looked at it actually more from a business opportunity because the mallard duck is what the Peking duck with the Chinese actually comes from. It's actually a game bird. It's not your normal duck. So because of all this China Belt and Road and, everybody now mixing with China, I used to say, let me put up my farm. In future, I'm going to export all these ducks to China and make money and hopefully retire. So, no, but my husband has been laughing. Now that I've been based in Dubai, he says it's an expensive hobby and can I stop this hobby? Because I keep asking him, have my ducks been fed and have they been taken care of? No, but they're beautiful. I love them. I have almost 1,000 of them now. Yeah. Many. I need to start selling them more. Yeah. I need to start selling them more. Yeah.
In the past, you were the country manager for Google in Kenya. How did you find that experience and what impact has it had on your career?
Yeah. So I think for Google, as I was saying before, it was one of those things with the internet companies where you find that there's much of a harder drive to be the first to do things, to deliver elements, versus competition. You've seen it when is the next iPhone coming out and everybody's already sneaking in. This is how it's going to look like. Here's the case, that was set. So Google had quite a bit of a strong sense of urgency in delivering things. And also the element, when you go in and you look actually at the mantra that they've set up, the fourth one talks about failing fast. Like if something is not working, don't continue trying to build it to the grind. Move on and start something else. So I think for me, that experience into the bank has been more of that. How do we make sure that we're delivering and highlighting quite a bit of our capabilities, that we have in the bank, versus competition? In most of our markets, actually, we remain the only international bank. I think even here in Pakistan, with Barclays, having pulled out, Barclays is pulling out of Africa. How do we still demonstrate that versus the larger regional players or your local banks, that we are the ones, using this international network that we have, the trade corridors that we have, so we've got presence in almost 70 countries. How to bring that more to the fore to potential clients, who to some of them, this does matter. Whether I'm in Pakistan, I'm in Kenya, I'm in Dubai, is it the same bank? Am I able to trade? Are they able to support, these activities? We do elements like international, mortgages as well. So for me, I think it was one of those from the Google experience, just making sure, speaking more about the capabilities and the strengths that we have.
You've also been listed as one of the top 20 youngest, most powerful women in Africa. Right. What messages would you like to give girls across the world?
Across the world. Actually, no, so this is an aside. Cut the tape. But anyway, no. When this was first published by Forbes, so all of a sudden in the office, I started getting all these calls from Jaguar and Mercedes and whatever, and I'm wondering what's going on. So I was answering the phone, and the guy was like, yeah, we've got the new model. I was like, sorry, wrong Forbes list. That's not, it's not the Forbes, top 20 richest or whatever. But I think for me, I was very happy with the accolade and the recognition as well, because I think Africa is one of those that everybody talks about as, your next frontier, the next billion coming out of there, fastest growing middle class. But most of the time, people always talk about us from a removed view. Nobody ever really came in to assess and check what is happening. Whether, as we're saying, it was from the men or the women, or who are these movers and shakers, if that's the word that I could use. So I think for Forbes actually profiling this was really good. As you're saying, a demonstration, first of all, starting, at home, as we'd say in Kenya and in Africa, to show women and the girls that there was opportunities out there that they could take advantage of. In fact, actually, if you look at that list, you will notice, outside of, I think, probably people like Chimamanda, the great Nigerian writer, a lot of us would have been in the tech space. So I think demonstrating to girls and women that there's opportunity for them to be able to take advantage of. That it wasn't just now purely male-orientated roles, or like people like us, who are able to balance being married and also having these sorts of careers. And hopefully, as you're asking, it's hopeful that it's a message that would have, permeated globally, and just letting the girls that they know that whatever it is they aspire to become, that they can.
Just last two questions. What key characteristics do you believe keeps a workforce is important in keeping them innovative, socially aware, and also most importantly ahead of the competition?
Sorry, just repeat that. So what is the most important?
What key characteristics do you believe is important in keeping your workforce, let's just say, ahead of competition, as well as being socially aware as well?
Right. So I'm always a believer of having, is it almost like a big goal? Something that, is high up there that people feel that they need to reach out to attain, to. So like a bit of a stretch. To build, I think, their enthusiasm as well. More and more, and I need to check the Pakistan statistics for this, but I know in our other markets across Africa and Middle East, our population of people who are below 35, I think, is almost 60%. And everybody was saying that most of this, a constituent, and some of you here will be, like to keep their attention if it doesn't fit in a WhatsApp message. We are not, we're not going to be. But it's also one of those where people are saying the workforce is changing in that people are becoming much more self-directed. So I think once a common big goal has been defined, we are now allowing employees to come in with their own ways of how they want to achieve those goals. As opposed to previously where, you walked in, here's your job description, here's objectives, we've already set it and we've done. And something actually different and exciting in Standard Chartered is that while you will set out your annual, objectives with your line manager, we are now coming up and we're doing the half-year review. We actually take a hard look at the first half and agree, did we actually really achieve these objectives? Did we do them very well? What was the elements? And you can actually change your second half objectives. To say that, yes, this is what I'm now going to focus on in the second half. This is the bigger bits that, we are going to do. And I found for us in Standard Chartered that's working, where we're giving our teams much more, a broader element of, first of all, challenging, being able to challenge, why are we doing this? Why would we need to do? And after that, finding their own ways of how they want to deliver. So as I said, much more self-directed, self-managed. And this is why elements like our flexi place and flexi time are working. Because while the teams can come together, you're having your team meetings and all that, but you can also have your time to be able to be really, as you're saying, creative, innovative, disruptive, come up with different ideas, as opposed to saying everybody has to be together, 9 to 5 to deliver something. And as I was telling you as well, so I see in future, as I said, people will be working in where? Yeah. In the Maldives, I hope. And yet and yet, because I was saying, with the digital world and the delivery of the way your work needs to be, it's not really something physically whatever. But I think to that, being able to give people the room to feel they're tangibly and demonstrably contributing towards something. So I'm seeing it being much more bottom up as opposed to top down. I can say, especially for my team. Tasneem is here, she's going to tell us, right? But just giving them that. So I think we've changed. And I think everybody used to say, this is what the Internet of Things was going to do. I think it was a futuristic view that people had seen, where we're going to stop working in a traditional way where you have a manager who has to tell the team what needs to be done.
Yeah.
It's much more the teams, as we're doing, coming in, rallying around projects and getting to deliver. The last 1A, 1B.
Okay, can you talk about the AME #1 campaign, which was rolled out recently and was published in a number of newspapers?
So for us, it's actually a very exciting one. So the bank did go through a little bit of reorganization. This is now coming up 2 years ago from 2015, where one of the big changes that we had merged Africa and Middle East, which includes Pakistan, which used to be MENA region as we called it before. So when you bring it together, this region that we had, there's quite a number of big exciting things that we had been doing, as I was saying before. And we sat with our team and we said, look at it. All these awards that we've been getting, we've never actually found a way to go and communicate this with our clients, to let them know that in terms of being able to deliver those large capabilities, whether it's in Islamic banking, whether it's our digital capabilities, whether it's things like even in debt capital markets. So the team and I rallied around and we said, how do we come up with a campaign? And when we came up with this campaign, we also said, how are we going to package it? And we said, look at it. If you look across all the board and we compared it to all our competitors, whether internationally or regionally, when we summed up these awards, we were actually #1 by quite a mile, by quite a big distance. So it was a bullish statement for us to make in the market, but I think it was the right time because of the effort that we had, put in together over the past 2 years in really exploiting the synergies that we have, across the board. And just bringing this into this one big, strong, bank that we have created. And I think it's lending itself well, even for us globally, because soon we're also going to run this campaign globally because it's landed really well with our clients. I mean, a lot of people have sat up and noticed and we're quite happy.